Hello and welcome to another session of AZMAT System tutorials. In this session, we'll continue with the SSWAP model where we left off at the last tutorial. Let's just have a quick look at it, what we are running under. So if I say File, Help, Microsoft Excel 2010. Additional, that's version 14, additional version and copyright information. If I click that, and then System Info. Here is, of course, again, Excel 2010 version 14. System Info will give me the information about the operating system and other details about the computer system. So System Information box, top line in here. There. OS name, operating system name, Microsoft Windows XP Professional. So we are running Excel 2010, which is Excel version 14 under Windows XP. Let's begin by opening the AZMAT System file. Computer. I'm running from drive G, Excel 2010, AZMAT folder, and AZMAT.xls, which is the main program file. Open as read-only. Simple 2-letter password for the file only. And now as my system password, which, as you know by now, you can change it yourself on your computer. Everything you can change, whatever you like. All the passwords, if that's what you want. Enter the 2-letter ID. I am using AA and 4-digit password. You can choose your own 2-letter ID and the password, of course. Let the user know what's happening, and also this file here to make sure they are aware that they should wait. Because I'm running Windows XL in the Excel 2010, all the AZMAT System menus, or your own menus, if you create, they will be here under Add-ins. There, come after I click this one, there. From Excel 2007, this is the way all your own menus will be displayed, are displayed in Excel. Before 2007, you had these menus, J, K, X, all these here, or your own menus could have been displayed here. Just the letters as you wanted before the help menu, of Excel. Right, first thing I want to do here is to save the AZMAT data file, so it will enter the correct date, the current date rather, 5th of September 2017, 10:31 p.m. That's where I'm starting the system. I'll restore it to the usual size, and I'll just Windows arrange, or just to make sure I have both the vertical and the horizontal scroll bars of this particular file. Right. As you know by now, I have to, if you've been following other tutorials, we have to carry out the code file calc. I'm just going to do on the ZRUSG.xls. Because this takes a bit more longer, I'm actually asking the users not to interrupt the command, wait, all that. Because if they did, then because it is carrying out lots and lots of calculations on various calculation models. We will go through those, even in a step mode at a certain future date in some tutorial, if that's what people want. Then you'll see what he's been doing. ZRUSD has done that, completed that. I'll do the other one also on the. I'm just going to open this file for file edit rather just to make sure, just to let you know in the GBP. I could have just entered GBP, but I'll enter GBP just here, GBP for British Pound Sterling file. Let the user know what's happening in the status message area, but also this big file so they don't mistake. Okay, for latest session is open. This is rgbp.xlsx as it's an Excel 2010. Now, we're still okay for this 1st September. This September, the first future. It will change, but not yet. Today is Tuesday, September the 5th. So it is still okay, but if you, I want to show you something. I'm just going to do this here. Curve file tab, because in the next file you'll see I'm going to say update future dates. Already selected the areas, it's showing that, right? Okay. Right, it's done that. And just remember, these futures haven't changed. First future is still September 2017. Right, I'm going to just simply save this file as I need to do so, to open and save these files, or I could have done the curve file cap as I did for the US dollar. But I just want you to remember that. Today, Tuesday, 5th of September, I did the futures update and it did not change those features, still the same. September 2017 is the first feature. You'll understand later on in the next tutorial or after that the significance of that particular command. Right, I want to save the curve changes. Right, yeah, go ahead. Again, doing what you're doing, let the user know. Right, he's done that, and the file has been saved. All the required calculations. Right, we've done that. First thing I want to do, since I'm going to show go through with the asset swap model commands, which are in Z menu. All the asset swap model commands are here. I'll open the asset swap model. Going on the J menu, all the investment banking calculation models can be opened from here. Asset swap, bonds, floating rates, convertible bonds, and so on. Warrants, and the money market instruments. It's actually, there's one more. If I go down, scroll I can see that. Okay, I'm going to open the swap model. Just need to click that. It'll open that. Right. There's swap model there. I'm going to put the date here. The version you will get, you will not have to do this each time. It will already have some future dates, but only when this program is being sent to you. At that time, I'll do that. So you'll not have to change it for a few years at least. But you need to understand that here it says to me, error maturity date, which is that maturity date, must be greater than or equal to settlement date, which is here, settlement date. Settlement date, today, transaction date 5th of September because today is 5th of September, as we saw here. If I go and say here, AZMAT system enters the date and the current time whenever the AZMAT system, whenever you use save AZMAT data file, for example. Won't do that again because we'll change the time to current now, which will not be. This is my starting point of the webinar. So just as a reference. As long as you've got as a date time, two adjacent cells like that is a date time, or they could have also been like that, top and bottom, or side by side. If they're named as a date time, AZMAT system will save that file and enter, whenever it's saving, if you use the AZMAT system file save, it will enter the date and the time in those two cells. If you have got an area, range name area called is at date time. Right, we will go back to the, I just wanted to show you that the difference here, today's date here is 5th of September. So we go back to the SSO model, which is ZB AZMAT.XLSX. In older versions of Excel, up to 2003 and before, it would be ZB AZMAT.XLS. Because up until then, the file extension names in Excel, in Microsoft Office, or all the programs, as far as we are concerned in Excel, there were 3 letters, XLS. But now, from 2007 onwards, you have 4-letter extension, file extension name. Right, I'm going to change. So here, because the maturity date here, the settlement date, sorry, transaction deal date is today's date, 5th September 2017. Settlement date is Friday, 8th of September. I'm not going to go through this why it is now in this tutorial. We've gone through briefly in another tutorial, but we will go through in detail all these things, terms, but not today. So if you just take it, the settlement date is that the maturity date must be, as it says here, error, maturity date must be greater than or equal to the settlement date. So it could be 8th of September, but or later, but it cannot be before. So I'm going to change this date to, say, 2022, for example, 5 years ahead. Input data has been changed, PV all these may not be correct. So I'm just going to now, and it's using the US dollar and the US dollar for both. So it's interest rate swap, where the currencies are the same, bond, currency swap, same is interest rate swap. Where the currencies are different, it's called cross-currency swap, where one currency, first currency, is different to the second swap currency, then it'll be cross-currency swap. If you have a look at the cash flows, there they are. Bond cash flows, swap cash flows. I'm going to actually now just have a go back up and use the Z menu, and I'll say, right, calculate. Calculate net P&L, profit and loss, and 1 basis point move. So then 1 basis point move will be shown here. After it's done that full calculation, what's happening here is opening various calculation models and carrying out calculations. Right, it's finished. When you see ready here, and also in here, it's not an error anymore. If it says here, note, commands and Z menu have been specifically designed to work with this file. I've just used using this just information message, if you like, rather than have it completely blank. Whenever it says that, command Z menu has been specifically designed to work with this file, that means it is the same as ready in Excel, if you like. Means all the data you see, not only here, but also I go back, go down, everything here you see is all calculated and correct to the input data, which is all in yellow, wherever it is in this particular financial model. Yellow and also green, which is in the yellow area, if you like. The reason why we have this net market price of bond in green, swap margin green, and the required net PL in green, we can keep one constant and get the result, calculate the one result for the, sorry, we could say if we keep the, for example, let me just show you actually on the menu. So calculate the bond market price. So if you say calculate the bond market price using the swap margin and the net PL, you can calculate the swap margin using these two, or you can calculate the net profit and loss using those two. That's why I put them in green, these three items. We've been through this in another tutorial, so I'm not going to go in detail in this one now. So right now, what I'm interested in is calculating the, I have done that with just calculating net profit and loss and 1 basis point move. So in this particular, these values, it results in a loss. So this is a swap, this is one particular swap which an asset swap dealer or trader would not be recommending to their client, his or her client. Okay, but for now, what we can do is actually, while I'm doing this on here, I will also, let me change something. I want to show it is in a positive move way. So I'm actually going to, without actually saving any yield or whatever, I'm going to change this. Doesn't have to be August. I don't know. Can we say September if you like? And change this to, say, 23. It's a Saturday. So I'm going to change it because I know any deals will not be carried out. So I can put it on Monday. Knowingly, I don't want to put it at the weekend because it's pointless. The actual maturity very likely would not be carried the actual at the end of the bond maturity. Any money transfer would not take place at a weekend, very likely. So I'm putting it in Monday, 11th September, for example, which happens to give you around just over 6 years. Let's see what happens here. I have no idea what the results, whether it'll be positive or negative or whatever, but it probably would not be by the look of things. Actually, what I'm going to do is not just that, I'm actually going to change this currency, see what happens here. Watch here. Present value of bond flows US dollar, present value of swap flows in US dollar. When it was US dollar, I'm changing it to GBP. So the swap flows currency should change to GBP. Not only that, but also the swap cash flows will be in GBP. Change that and do the net PL, profit and loss, and 1 basis point move. Just do that. Let's see what happens here. I want to get out. Oh, this case is even worse. Okay, so it's not that it's wrong or anything. I'm just trying out various things. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is try the US dollar here and change the, for example, in here, instead of that, I'm going to change this to make it a very let's try very, very short one. And I'm using the P&L. That's correct. Not quite finished yet. Right. It doesn't mean that those other maturity dates were wrong and I got it wrong. No. This is the whole idea of this asset swap model. A bond dealer or trader, what he or she would normally do is test various different bonds. Say the client has, they know they've got a list of database of bonds which their client has, a particular one. What they will do is put one bond here and then say, right, if we swap with this one, what happens? Does it result in a profit or loss? In this case, as you saw in the previous two ones, you saw even when it was an interest rate swap, the first one, but the maturity was 2022 or something, and then I changed the currency to GBP, so it became a cross-currency swap, two different currencies, and that resulted in even bigger loss in that. But now I put back the currency same, so it's interest rate swap. And I've changed the maturity to 2019, Wednesday, 11th September 2019. So it's a very short-term bond. Okay, because now, currently, this as I speak now, is 5th September 2017. And I'm choosing the maturity date is 11th September 2019. I mean, there may not be a bond, but let's assume there was a bond of these parameters and the swap. If the swap was made, that will result in a net profit in US dollar, because this is US dollar. Currency swap is dollar, bond is US dollar. So it's an interest rate swap. If they tell the client, look, if you swap, basically swap, change for this bond to that bond, it will result you in a net profit of $7,787. Because the present value of bond flows, which if I bring it back down here, there, I'll take this off as well here. And that we don't need to see that bit there. The bond flows are their bond cash flows, swap cash flows. The reasons why we have so few lines here, rows with data, is because this is only just over 2 years there. Remember? And it's an annual bond. And we won't go into that detail. I won't go into it because it'll take time from this. We will go through each of these items later on. For example, bond cash flows, why those dates are there, and swap cash flows, why those dates are here. But suffice it to say that it's an annual frequency, coupon frequency is annual, and the swap currency swap is US dollar. So it says the swap cash flows are semi-annual. That's why they are in 6 months, September, March, September, March, September, March, so on. Right, and that's what determines the number of rows, if you like, in your cash flows, very briefly. So if the present value of all the bond cash flows, AZMAT System calculates them to be in US dollar is that 94,611, and present value of swap cash flows, those are 86,767. Credit charge in US dollars is 58, and this results in a net profit or loss. So in this case, it's profit because it's positive. If it was negative, it would be loss. So the net profit in US dollar is 7,787. So, and just these minor points, if 1 basis point move, market price, if you move 1 basis point, it result in 0.5171 basis point in margin. And similarly, if you 1 basis point margin move will result in 1.93 basis point in the market price. Again, those very briefly mentioned that, so at least you know what they are. We will go through those very much in detail and in a later tutorial. So since this does make a profit, if there were these two, if their client, if the bond dealer or trader's client had this particular bond, then you could ring the client and say, look, if you change this bond to this particular bond with these parameters, if you swapped it to this, it'll result you in a profit of 7,787. And these are the cash flows, bond cash flows, the swap cash flows. Now, having done, first thing I'm going to do is now, I'm going to change it to what if, instead of what if, say, live deal. By putting 1 there, it becomes live, then 0. If I undo that, so remember, undo that, what if deal, so 0 there. If it's 0, what if deal, and if I enter 1 there, I can display live deal instead of 1. Very easy. We'll go through that again later. Very, very easy to do that. Right. Now I would say at this point, I'll save this as a deal. So I'm going to say, go into the Z menu and say save as a new transaction deal, first thing. So AZMAT System will give it a transaction deal number, which, as you notice here, is completely blank. It's not there. Even if I take this off, nothing there. There's no transaction deal number because I just created it by trying various. All I've done is I didn't actually change anything else. I didn't change the frequency, coupon frequency, or LIBOR frequency, or basis, or anything here. LIBOR basis or coupon basis, only all the coupon rate. I just changed the maturity date. Try 2 or 3, and that's all right. There it is. I've got here, there's a profit. I can ring the client and say, right, if you change that to that, this is assuming that this particular bond the client actually has in their portfolio. Okay, let's just now save it. So save as new transaction deal. And you should give it up a number there. So the deal has been saved and it's given that deal number there, say in the AAB AZMAT.xlsx, which is the database, asset swap database file, as you may remember if you've seen another tutorial which we've been through in another tutorial for asset swap of Z menu. This file resides in gcolon AZMAT directory, which is the user directory. Just letting the user know where it actually this particular file is if they want to see it. Okay, so let's have a quick look at it. That particular file, it should be open. And there it is, 9548827. Transaction date is today's date, 5th of September, 2017. And I'm based here in UK. That's why I'm using here day and the month and the year. In the US, as you may know, it is month, day, and year. But what I have gone here is I'm actually formatted it as the day and the month in letters. So there's no confusion, hopefully. Even though the day is there, but month is clearly September 2017. All the details of that particular transaction are stored here, all these columns, and I can load the asset swap model with any of these deals if I want to from the database into there very easily. just now, just to show you, right, it's saved here, and the live deals are saved here with the dates, the newest date, the latest date at the top. The what if deals, where the dealer is just, the dealer trader is just changing various things, they just want to see, but he still wants to save it. Then they are here, 0 equal to what if, 1 equal to live, deal type there in that column, and they are saved. If you see the date is going backwards. I didn't want to confuse when that date, the live date begins and the new date, so there will be a big difference in the dates. And so that what if deals, the latest date is at the bottom. And the live deals, latest date is at the top. In descending order goes down, and whereas in the what if deals, they are descending order from the bottom up, or from there, as you can see, it's in ascending order down from the time it begins. They begin all the what if deals. We'll go through all these later on in more detail. Just briefly, just to let you know why that is so. And there's a logic behind it. Okay, first thing now I want to do is go back to so I am in this AA, that's my initial. So it stores the database, AZSwap database file. That's how it names AA. Then from second character onwards is all the same as AZSwap file. AA instead of the Z, and then B AZMAT.xl same. Okay, AA are my initials. That's my AZMAT data file is. Let's go back to AZSwap, and one or two other things I'm going to go through. We'll go here and say I want to prepare customers' cash flow report. I'll do these commands. Let's just do one by one. So I'm just going to do this first. We'll go through these later on. Let's just see for now. Prepare customers' cash flow report for this deal. Don't have to say. So here, remember this is the AZSwap model. This is fine. Now it's trying to open various files. Now it's done that. Customers cash flow report file, and it's given a number, Q, the query if you like, has been created and saved. Now you notice 9548827.AA. AA are my initials. 9548827, if you remember, we'll go through it and look at it again. Look at it. That was the deal transaction or deal number was. So that file is unique for that particular deal transaction or deal, and it's a customer's cash flow report, as it says here, has been created and saved with those two initials of the user. So another user, if they for exactly the same deal, if they use on their own machine, on their own PC, they will have their initials. So it will distinguish the file from any other dealer or trader, if you like, any other user in a company where even hundreds of users are using the AZMAT system from exactly the same network drive. So if you need this report printed, please use the print command from the file menu. Okay, very simple. File, print, you can print that. So I'm just going to click OK. To just try to remember, 9548827 is the file name. 9548827. It's got a Q before and then .AA. If I go and have a look at this one, so there it is, 9548827. I'll look at actually in there. So I can look on the database as well. But if I look on the AZSwap database, AZSwap model, what I have currently loaded would be 9548827. That's my transaction or deal number. And if you look at it here, query file, the one I've just created, customers cash flow, is Q9548827.AA. So that's my customers cash flow report. We will go through these a bit later. Let me just do one or two other things first. So there it is, creating in the add-ins, and I'm going to say prepare. That was the prepares customers cash flow report. Remember, we just did. I'm going to now use the prepare banks cash flow reports from the that was from the customer's point of view. This is from the bank's point of view, cash flow report for the same deal. Remember, there are two parties to any deal or transaction. By definition, you don't just transact. One person doesn't just buy and sell on his or her own account or their own. They'd be mad to do so. You always there's a buyer and there's a seller. Like a car, there's a buyer of a car. That person sells it to someone else. So there's a seller and a buyer. Same thing goes here on these transaction deals. So in this case, there's a customer and there's a bank. So the first one is the customer's point of view cash flow report. And this one, we are going to now say prepare cash flow report from the bank's point of view. Right. Exactly the same deal. So let's the user know what you're doing. Please wait, attempting to, right, there it is, it's done now. Now, just before that, just let me say a few things about this. The fact that you saw that is because I'm using actually, and this is Windows XP, remember, I'm using Windows XP. So it is an older machine than where I'm using Windows 10. So you can actually see these messages. Whereas on faster machine, where I have got 8 GB memory, whereas on this current machine, it has only 500 MB, which was at that time, when the machine was new, was quite high. Now it's 1/16 of the size of this Windows 10 machine, the memory. Right? On that memory is 500 MB, which is half a gigabyte, whereas on the Windows 10 machine, it's 8 GB, 16 times that. So it's very much so fast that you won't even see these messages being shown here. It'll just simply come for a fraction of a second and disappear. Right, so being bank's cash flow report file, now you can see here it's given the letter B instead of the customer's cash flow was Q. And then the exact same deal number, transaction name .AA has been created. If you need this report printed, please use the print command from the file menu. Okay. Now these things we did go through briefly in another tutorial, but I think I will go through this now a little bit more in detail to make so that you can see when the file is actually open in front of you. You can see it's easier to understand what's happening. There's nothing more on that side, as you can see. It's all here, and there's nothing below either. It's all on the screen what you see. So this is the bank's cash flows report. We'll go and have a look at it. So this, with a letter beginning with Q, that one was the customer's cash flow report from the customer's point of view. There. Q, customer's cash flows report. Again, if I go down here, there's nothing more than what you can see. And if I move here, nothing more here. And with this, because the cash flows are fairly, not very many, the actual number of cash flows, rows, if you like, then we can see it all on the screen. So it has its advantage by actually selecting a bond with 2019 expiry. Right? If I look at this, if I go back to their SSOP model, which is that ZB, maturity date is Wednesday, 11th of September 2019. And these are the bond cash flows. These are the soft cash flows. Remember, these are net cash flows shown. Right, let's just go and we'll have a look at this command, Z menu, and prepare customers cash flows report. As I said, very briefly, went through this in another tutorial, but in this one, now that we actually have that report, we can see, we'll go through that in more. I'll just read through. So that's the customer's cash flow report, customer cash flow report. And I'm just going to go through this command, prepare customer's cash flows report. So I'll take this menu off in here so we can see the whole report, because otherwise this is hiding is here. I don't want anything hidden behind. So take that, click that, right, customer's cash flows report. So this report, as I just did in front of you, it prepares cash flows report from the customer's point of view. This command is only available when SSOP model is being used. Okay, so you will not use that command, prepare customer's cash flows report, anywhere else within AZMAT system. Not when you have the AZMAT data file or any other file open. You have to have AZMAT Systems asset swap model file open. Then you can use this command, prepare customers cash flows report. And as you may recall, I mentioned in other tutorials, in older versions of Excel, Z menu would not even be visible. This Z menu would be grayed, so that the user would not be able to even look at Z menu, any of these commands, let alone use them, if SSOP model was not the active file. Indeed, in this one, for example, right now, I'm actually on the customer's cash flow report file. This is not SSOP model. In older versions of Excel, you would not be able to, I would not be able to even see what the SSOP model commands are, let alone use them. But in later versions of Excel, that functionality, I'm afraid, is no longer available. In later versions of Excel, as now in this particular one and before, you could have the Z menu, well, all the menus would be available to whatever file is. You could not specify a menu should only be available, a specific menu should only be available when a specific file is active. That was a useful command. If you like, it has its positives and negative points. Positive points is fine. It means basically users would not be able to use any of these commands unless the SSOP model is actually the active model, as the active file, because all these commands are specific to the SSOP model. Positive point, if you say so, like this, like for example, I can actually see the Z menu, even if I'm not on the SSOP model file. But if I try to use one of these commands, I'm not going to go through it now, but you will see what happens. But not now, not in this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to stick to going through these actual prepare customers cash flows, banks cash flows, etc. a little bit in detail, because this is very, very vast subject. If I start going back, starting explaining to you all these here, we will just digress from the main objective of this current tutorial, which is to go through some of these commands in detail. Right. I'm going through this prepare customers cash flows report, just trying to explain to you that. And to do that, I want to take this off so I can see everything on the screen. So the net cash flows displayed in the asset swap model are from bank's point of view. So if I go to the asset swap model, these are the net cash flows displayed from bank's point of view. Remember that. In the asset swap model, whenever you change it, whatever you're doing, all these are from the bank's point of view, and they are net cash flows. We will see what it means when we go and actually look at the report in a minute. So the customer's cash flow report, this is the Q file. Remember, that's what banks B, if you like. Customers, I put it in C. Sorry, instead of C, I'm actually using Q for a purpose, because the C is reserved for other files. I'm not going to go through it now. For now, I'm using, just remember, B is for banks, if you like. Q is the customer's point of view file. So it's the customer's cash flow report. So in here, the net cash flows displayed in the asset swap model are from bank's point of view. This command, prepare customers cash flows report, prepares all the intermediate and final cash flows from the customer's point of view. Right, bond cash flows, swap cash flows, customer pays, customer pays, customer receives, customer receives. So the first column here is the date. And if you notice on the dates, if you see, I'll have to go back there to show you. If you can just remember 8th September 2017, then 11th of September 2017, 18, 19. Asset swap model. So 8th September, then 11, 11, 11, 17, 17, 18, 19. 8th of September 2017, 11th September 11, 11, 17, 18, 19. So these are the bond cash flows. The dates here are the same as we have here in the customer's cash flow point of view. Not going to go through those amounts actually, but let's have a look at it here. So prepare customer's cash flows report command shows that on the dates bond flows. Customer pays $1 million. That's why it's in negative from customer's point of view. It's a negative amount. That is the amount customer pays. Anything which customer receives, like here, positive, they are in positive value. They're positive values. Customer receives, negative values, customer pays. Zero, obviously nothing. So bond flows are, again, at this point, I don't want to go too much detail exactly why that is so, this and that amount. Just remember this one. This report is customer's cash flows report. And in here, this report prepares all the intermediate and final, is the net cash flows from the customer's point of view for the currently displayed data. So for this data, all this data here, there, everything, whatever you see here, all this information here, for this data and the cash flows themselves, that report prepares all the intermediate and final which is the net cash flows from the customer's point of view for the currently displayed data. This report normally takes a few seconds to prepare. On older machines, it will take probably 6-7 seconds. On newer machines, latest machines now, which probably you have it as we speak now, let's say I have the other one, say on the Windows 10, and still using Excel 2010, for example, but with 8 GB random access memory, RAM, it will take much, much less time. The report is displayed in a separate file which is ready for print. The user can print the report by using the file print command from the Excel menu. So I could say use file and print and select the printer and so on. Okay, I'm not going to go through that, so I'm going to cancel this. Simple file print and print that. This printed report could be faxed to the customer. The report file could also be saved by the user using the file save as command from the Excel menu. Note that AZMAT System will use the same file to prepare another report. Therefore, if the print report is required to be saved, it should be saved with a different name before this command is used again. So if I use that command again, the add-in set menu, prepare customer's cash flow report. If you'll use the same file, AZMAT System will use the same file. So overwriting the old file. So best thing, if you want to save it yourself with using file, Excel file, save as command. So in fact, actually, I might just do that. I'll use Excel, say file save as, instead of Q954, that, I'm actually going to just simply, maybe I'll keep those letters to remind me of the deal number, if you like. Don't have to, but I'll do that. And I'll simply add some more characters to that. For example, I'll actually add, say, make it underscore and put 05 Sep 2017. I've actually added the date. 5 September, SCP, September, rather than using the numbers, because then hopefully it won't confuse for the US, in the US, because they're using the month first. They would take this as May or 5. I'm using it as day, 5th of September, but I'm using the letters for month. So hopefully it won't be that confusing. Right, I'm going to save this not as .xlsx, but as Unicode text for now, whatever. Just wanted to save it a different name. So if I need to, I can get back to it later, hopefully. May contain features that's not compatible. Yes, I do know that, right? I do want to keep this file in the same name. Just done that, click OK. Right, I've saved it with that file name. So next time I use that command, if Excel, AZMAT System, if it overrides that, doesn't matter. It won't overwrite on this file name. It will have overwritten the original one, which was Q that.AA. So now it's got this here. This is my own unique name. So that's fine. So now let's have a quick look at the prepare bank's cash flows report command, which was the cash flow report from bank's point of view. I go back here in the Z menu. I had also I used this command, prepare customer's cash flow report. The next one I did was prepare bank's cash flow report. So we're not actually just before we go to the bank's one, let's go through a little bit more in here. Not in much detail, but very much slightly more, for example. So you have on the customer's cash flow report, first thing to remember is if you want to save it, that report, save it, but give it another name, use Excel file save as, and save it in some other name. Give it a name. You don't have to use this way. You can do anything. You can change the name to anything else you like on whatever way you wish. I have chosen to save it that way. It doesn't mean you have to do the same. That's just my preference. So what it is this particular for name of the bank, and it's the capital markets department. I have saved it that way. You can name it whatever you like in your bank or your company. Customer's cash flows report, so that to remind that what it is, prepared on 5th of September and at that date, that time. And this whole deal, if you remember this lot here, I'll just go through into the bond data AZMAT database file, and you'll see that this here, XXX is the name of the party, 5% is the coupon, which is the interest rate, if you like, coupon interest rate. 2019 was the maturity year. In US dollar swapped into 6-month US dollar LIBOR plus 16 basis points. So if you see here, let's have a quick look at the AZMAT model. Then we'll look into the AZMAT database. So bond issuer, I'm just calling it, 5X is there, and the counterparty 5Ys. In real life, obviously, there will be a real name of a real company, both the bond issuer and the company or government or whatever, and the counterparty. Both, so issuer and counterparty, both will be some real name, but I'm using XXX. YYY. So it's a 5% coupon, and there's LIBOR basis, LIBOR soft margin 16 basis points. Counterparty is YYY. And it's a semi-annual. The coupon frequency is annual. So if I go to the database, AZMAT database, you'll notice that bit is summarized in the last part here, last column. 5% 2019 US dollar swapped into 6-month US dollar LIBOR plus 16 basis points. This row, this column, if you like, here it's only one column, it's just showing into spread there but it's actually this column. These columns are all blank. So this is stored in this particular column, which is column 45. Summary of that transaction. An asset swap dealer or trader, just by reading that, they would know probably very quickly, they'll know which particular bond or this particular transaction it refers to, because they might know from their memory of their client, which client had this particular bond and swapped into that particular one, just by that summary. So I've used that summary is used in this summary, as you can see here or there, is used in the report itself. There. XXXX 5% 2019 US dollar swapped in 6 month US dollar LIBOR plus 16 basis points. Using that in here as just to remind the users, basically, both the customers and the banks, traders, dealers would know what it means just by a quick one-line summary. So the customer's cash flows report there, prepared when, date and time, what it is, interest rate swap. Remember, why is interest rate swap? Because the currency of the bond, US dollar, is same as the currency of the swap. If both currencies are the same, it's interest rate swap. If these currencies are different, then it's called cross-currency swap, not interest rate swap. So in here, then what else we have? We have the bond flows. It tells you exactly in the bond one, on this date, customer pays, and this column here, customer receives. So on this date, 11 September, customer doesn't pay anything, customer receives 50,000, and so on. Here the dates customer receives, and lastly on the maturity date, customer receives that amount, 1,050,000. Okay, principal amount was 1 million there, which customer pays initially, but receives on the date of maturity. We look at that as the swap model. Maturity date, 11th of September, 2019. So on that date, this bond matures. So going back there, so basically, these are the from customer's point of view, what customer does. Customer pays, customer receives. Swap cash flows. Swap flows is customer pays on this date and the customer receives. Both, as you notice, customer pays, customer receives. On here, that's the bond flows, swap flows. The net is on 8th of September, customer pays that, nothing. Customer on this amount, date as well, customer pays. See that? Minus 13, minus 808, all that. Customer pays, that. You may have noticed that here we had the last one also, 808, customer minus 808. So the customer actually receives a negative amount, means the customer actually is paying. Right? Customer pays 808, 808, but the last one here is 0. Why? Because customer receives 999, 192. If you take out the 808 or add 808 here, you will see basically from 1 million, if you take out the 808, it will become 999,192. So you're not putting 808 minus 808 and then putting 1 million here. Basically, we're taking it off the net because this is net flows, right? These are not net. These are net flows. So on that date, customer receives that. That date, customer receives sorry, customer receives there, customer pays that, net flows. So you will not have the, in both columns, like here we have, there and there. Here we have the net flows. So the amount is only in one column. You have here customer pays, so here you have none, zeros. Here you have the amount customer receives, so here you have zeros. It's the net flows. Then you have customer receives here on this date again, the IP ball, the LIBOR, the 6-month LIBOR, 6-month LIBOR, similar order. So that's the customer's point of view report, the customer's cash flow report. Now, if you go to look at the Z menu, we'll have a quick look at the prepare customers from prepare bank's cash flow report, which we did. And here we have the bank's cash flow report begins with B. So here you can see the format is almost exactly the same, but so here we have a XYZ bank, and the department capital markets, whatever, could be different. Whatever department it is, you put that. Don't have to, you can do whatever you like. Bank's cash flow report prepared on that date, 11:04 p.m. Summary is the same. So if I go that here, 5%, this line is exactly the same. It's the summary of that particular transaction. Now, this is from the bank's point of view. So it's bank's cash flow report. And here, bond flows, XYZ. Right? XYZ is the name of the bank, say, whatever you want to call it. Receives $1 million on the 8th of September. If we have a quick look at the customer's cash flows report, customer pays, that's why it's negative. Customer pays $1 million, US dollars, on 8th of September to bank, XYZ bank, because the bank receives that $1 million. So these are the two parties, customer and the bank. Customer pays, bank receives. Similarly here, XYZ pays that amount, so the customer would be receiving that. Anyway, so XYZ receives, XYZ pays, that's the bank on these dates. As you can see, after that, nothing, the bank. Swap flows, bank XYZ receives these amounts on those dates. Bank pays $1 million, and you have here 808. These are positive amounts. If you go and have a look at the customer's cash flow report, customer receives plus 6-month LIBOR, that minus 8. I don't know whether it's actually making any sense to you or not. Those are negative amounts there, the customer, and these are positive amounts here. Minus 808, those are positive. Right. Net flows. So these are from bank's point of view, basically. Sorry, I'm on the customer's cash flows report. I'm in the wrong report. Get on the bank's report. Bank's cash flows report, B. So bond flows, bank receives column, bank XYZ pays column, bonds cash flow. Swap flows, on these dates, what the bank receives, what the bank pays. Net. So those are intermediate, if you like, really spelling out exactly on what happens on which date. These are the net flows. Dates, what a bank XYZ receives or bank XYZ pays. Dates, XYZ, bank XYZ pays. So these are the two reports. So bank's cash flows report. So when the bank when you use this command there, prepare bank's cash flows report, AZMAT System prepares this file B, beginning with B, that's bank's cash flows report. And remember, from the customer's cash flows report begins with Q and the transaction deal number. Bank's cash flow report begins with B for bank, if you like. There's the transaction deal number. Dot AA are the initials of the user, current user. Same as the customer's cash flow report, this report is only available when asset swap model is being used. The net cash flows displayed in the asset swap model are from bank's point of view. Remember, the net flows as displayed in the asset swap model, they are from the bank's point of view. So in the asset swap model, we don't go around displaying cash flows from the customer's point of view at all. The cash flows displayed are from bank's point of view, and they are net. So the net cash flows displayed in the asset swap model are from bank's point of view. We go back to the bank's cash flow report. This command, i.e. prepare Z menu, prepare bank's cash flow report. This command, preparing bank cash flow report, prepares all the intermediate and final net cash flows from the bank's point of view. Right? It shows exactly the intermediate flows and the net flows from the bank's point of view, where the customer's cash flows report prepares and shows the intermediate, shows the customer's cash flows report, shows the intermediate flows and the net flows from customer's point of view. Whereas the bank's cash flow report prepares the intermediate flows and the net flows from the bank's point of view. That's why it's called bank's cash flow report. This report takes about 6 or 7 seconds on older machines, but on newer machines, only a few seconds, much less than that. The report is displayed in a separate file which is ready for print, just like the cash flows, the customer's cash flows report. The user can print the report by using the file print command from the Excel menu. Right, file print. The report file could also be saved by the user using the file save as command from the Excel menu. Note that AZMAT System will use the same file to prepare another report. Therefore, if the print report is required to be saved, it should be saved with a different name before this command is used again. So just like the customer's cash flow report command, prepare customer's cash flow report, same applies to the prepare bank's cash flow report command. If you want to save AZMAT System to use the same file to prepare another report, if you use the same command again. So if you want to save it, if you want to print it later on or whatever reason you want to see it again, best to save it, file save as, and in here, remember here, the reason you don't see that other one with all the data is because here it's showing me only the .xls x file names. So I'm going to save this particular file name just like the other one, underscore 05 September 2017 as a file name, and I'm going to save it as Unicode.txt file. I don't have to, but that's what I want to save it as, for example. Save it. Yeah, it's going to save it there. It's going to keep this format. It's going to just warning me that it's going to use some of the features that are not available. Fine. We'll say yes, carry on, just save it. So it's got the name there. So you can see that I'm using that 5th of September 2017 because that's the date I have. That's the date of the transaction. So remind me, I can quickly see what that particular deal, where it is. Rather than looking just by the deal number, I know quickly by what date it was prepared. Okay, so we've gone through these two commands in this session. I'm just going to go here, have a quick look at it. And now we'll proceed to the other command here. Next one here, add in set menu, prepare. We have done prepare customer's cash flow report in detail. Bank's cash flow report, prepare IRS purchase tickets, interest rate swap, prepare IRS interest rate swap sale tickets, purchase tickets, sale tickets. So remember, this is the interest rate swap. So I hope by now you remember. If I go to asset swap model, interest rate swap means both currencies are the same. If both bond currency of the bond and the currency of swap is the same, doesn't have to be US dollar, whatever, GBP, Japanese yen, euro, whatever. If both currencies are the same, it's called interest rate swap, IRS. Right, this is an interest rate swap because of course currencies are the same. So I can now also prepare, let's say, prepare the IRS purchase tickets. Let's do that first, and then we'll do that, and then we'll go into a bit detail as to what they are. We'll see. Let's just do that now. So I'm going to use the command prepare IRS interest rate swap purchase tickets. Please enter name of the counterparty and then click the OK button. So the counterparty, I've got it here is YYYYs. I'll leave that there for now. Tells you what's happening. It's done that. IRS purchase tickets file that has been created and saved. I'm also giving that message here as well. Purchase ticket file has been prepared. To view or print these tickets, please use the custom views command from the view menu. To view or print these commands. Now, in older versions of Excel, we have certain of these, you had to use those commands to use, but I'm not going to go through those now because they may or may not be available in the version you have. So for now, I just wanted to go through the actual file and have a look here. So you have now P for P, and then remember the deal number is exactly the same. And .AA, name of the user's initials, user ID, and P is for purchase tickets for interest rate swap. Now you may wonder why I have these. Let's just have a quick look through here. We have summary here again. 5X's 5%, 11 September 2019. That was the maturity date. $1 million. Dealer input, dealer will sign it, whatever, and so on. So this was a particular special, if there are any special conditions, can be entered here by the dealer or trader. All these things, they are specific to maybe one particular company. May not be exactly the same for other company. But it's just treat this, look at it as an example. Interest rate swap, really in bold, can't miss it. Portfolio, name, trading section, swaps, IRS, interest rate swap, number, group, and so on. Group is September 2019. Why that is so, that was the maturity. If you remember here, Assets of model, September 2019 is the maturity date. That's why we've got here as a group, if you like. Maturity is here as well, in September. Start date 8th of September, because that was the, you look at this submodel settlement date, 8th of September. Okay, and if you like, you can have a look at the bond cash flows, 8th of September, 8th of September's cash flows. Start date. Now this is just treated as this particular ticket, interest rate swap file ticket, as just treated as an example, just to learn what kind of information is used by a bank. This is, for example, think of it as a particular interest rate swap purchase tickets. Does not have to be exactly the same. All these information may not be exactly the same, but this is just an example. Treat it only as an example. It's not like calculating the circumference of a circle, because it has to be exactly that particular formula. This is just an example. So in here, XYZ, that's the bank pays, interest rate type is floating, fixed and floating rate, 6-month LIBOR, plus 16 basis points. Why that is 16 basis points is 6-month LIBOR plus 16 basis points. So we go back to a submodel. LIBOR frequency is semi-annual, so 6 months, and LIBOR frequency is semi-annual, and it was the LIBOR swap margin is in basis points 16. So 16 basis points, and the LIBOR frequency is semi-annual, so it's 6 months. So if you go back here, so 6-month LIBOR and plus 16 basis points. Settles semi-annual, semi-annual, annual, basic. These are the basis, actual over 360, and that's the European 30 over 360. Now this is to do with here, as the swap model. If you go and see, so this is the swap one, remember? It's margin one here. It's a actual over 360, and remember the bond, European 30 over 360. So this coupon basis, number 4, European one, EC1, 30 over 360. That's why this 4 is there. Very briefly summarized is what it means. And the other one, LIBOR basis, is 2 here, and it's, if you look at it here, LIBOR basis is European 30 over 360. We will go into detail properly what all those mean later, but just now, briefly, so it's European 30 over 360. Number 2. Okay. So we go back here to the purchase ticket. Compounding, no. And these are the dates. And these are the dates for this is fixed, bond one, swap, floating. Okay, this is the information required in one particular company. It will not be exactly the same in some other company. May want it in a slightly different format, perhaps, or very different format. But this gives you an idea what information may be required in a typical interest rate swap ticket, purchase ticket, like we did here. We use the command prepare IRS purchase tickets, interest rate swap purchase tickets. Now we'll do purchase IRS sale tickets. So I'll go back to the asset swap model. And this time I'll say prepare IRS sale tickets. Actually, before I do, I'll do that first, and then we'll go through the actual commands, the actual tickets later. Let me think. Okay, let's just do that. Pay IRS sale tickets. So remember here, if I go back here, show you, I have the customer's cash flows report, bank's cash flows report. So customer's point of view, bank's point of view, cash flows report. This is the swap database file. This is the swap file, which is the currently active file here. That's the AZMAT data, just AZMAT user file. That's the purchase ticket, interest rate swap purchase ticket file. I'm now going to go in here and use that. So that was the IRS interest rate swap purchase tickets file. I'm going to prepare interest rate swap sale tickets file. Counterparty names, I'm keeping it the same. Whatever it is, you can change it if you like, give it a name. I'm here, OK button. and tells me, you tell the user what you're doing. There it is created. So some faster machines, you won't even see those perhaps intermediate messages. So this sale tickets file has been prepared. View or print these. Use the custom views command from the view menu. Right. Interest rate swap, portfolio, in this case, warehouse, could be anything, whatever in your bank or company, whatever you want to call it. Trading section, swaps, group is September 2019 because that's maturity date. Trade date, 5th of September. Start date, 8th of September. That's when the cash flows start. Remember, the net, and that's actually the settlement date. Principal amount, $1 million. Interest rate type, floating. Notice, in here, XYZ pays. This is floating one here, 6 month, the LIBOR one. This is fixed here. If I go and quickly show you on the purchase tickets, which begins with P, you have here, if we can actually look at it very briefly. So this is the interest rate swap sale tickets. The other one, sorry, am I looking at the right one? Yeah, this is the purchase ticket, which begins with P. Sale tickets begins with S. So on the purchase tickets, I have XYZ, which is the bank, pays in here, and then XYZ receives, bank receives, if you like. On the sale tickets, here XYZ pays, and XYZ, that's the bank receives. We won't go into all these here details. Basically, just to let you know that that's what we have here. These items, if we look at it here on the purchase ticket and sale ticket, you notice that hardly changes. Okay, and down here, that's the summary. Dealer can sign here, input, and any special conditions can be mentioned here. So, S for sale tickets, P for purchase tickets. So let's now go through in slight more detail. Prepare interest. So if I go here, Z menu, prepare interest rate swap purchase tickets. When I use this command, AZMAT System produces a file. So the prepare purchase tickets, interest rate swap IRS begins. The report file is P, begins with P. Sale tickets begins with S. So that's the sale tickets, that's the purchase tickets. So we are now looking at the purchase tickets file, P. So in here, prepares the interest rate swap IRS purchase tickets file and saves the file. This command is only available when asset swap model is being used. This command will only work where AZMAT System has already allocated a transaction or deal number to the currently displayed data. So remember, I have to have in the asset swap model, see that transaction deal number for all the bank's cash flows, customers' cash flows, purchase tickets, sale tickets. All of them require this transaction or deal number, which would be here, there. So if you are the trader or dealer, asset swap trader or dealer, just checking various what if scenarios, in which case they will not, they may or may not, for older one you may have given, if you've already saved it some number, but if it's a new one, you would not have anything there. So this command cannot be used on those blank, where there's no transactional deal number. There must be a transactional deal number. In order to generate a number, if it's completely blank to begin with, you basically use from the Z menu, save as new transactional deal number. Then AZMAT System will give it a unique number, and then you can use these commands. Prepare cash flows, customers cash flows, banks cash flows, IRS purchase tickets or IRS sale tickets, interest rate swap. Okay, right, let's come back here, not on this, but go back to the purchase tickets file. So this command will only work where AZMAT System has already allocated a transaction or deal number. Remember that. To the currently displayed data in the asset swap model file. The asset swap purchase tickets file is produced, which contains the following tickets. A bond purchase ticket, 2 plain tickets and 1 with the word warning. Interest rate swap ticket, 1 plain ticket and 1 with the word warning. Cash flow ticket 1, 1 plain ticket and 1 with the word warning. Cash flow ticket 2, 1 plain ticket and 1 with the word warning. This command prepares the purchase tickets and saves the file. The asset swap purchase tickets file is of the form P, and then it has a 9-digit number. Is it 9-digit number? No, sorry, 7-digit number. P and 1 to 3, 6, 7. It's a 7-digit number, which is a transaction or deal number. So the current transaction deal number begins first, because the file name begins with P and then enter the transaction or deal number, then .id, where P represents purchase. The 7 ends represent the 7-digit transaction or deal number generated by the AZMAT system. ID represents a 2-character ID of the user who had originally printed the 9 tickets. Note, ticket files are saved on the hard disk in the C:\AZMAT directory or folder. To print or view one or more of the above tickets at any time, now or in the future, note that the user has to know the file name, which is of the form P and 7 digits .id. To view and or print individual tickets, the file should be open if it's not already open. Use the window view command from the Excel menu in Excel 5. So in Excel 5, remember AZMAT system is designed to work from Excel 5 onwards. All versions of Excel, currently in 2017, we are talking about here, this particular year in 2017, we had the latest is Excel 2016. Although we also have the Excel on the internet versions as well. But I'm talking about the ones you can install on your hard disk, the ones the old-fashioned ones, if you like. The Excel, whatever you have, Excel 2003, 2007, 2010, and so on, 2013, 2016. So, asset swap purchase tickets file is of the form P and then the number, 7-digit number, .id, where P represents purchase, All the ends, these ends represent a 7-digit transaction or deal number generated by the AZMAT system. ID represents the 2-character ID of the user who had originally printed the 9 tickets. Remember, there are 9 tickets, as we mentioned above. Note, tickets files are saved on the hard disk in C:\AZMAT directory. To print or view any one or more of the above tickets anytime and now in the future, the user has to know the file name. To view and or print individual tickets, the file should be opened if it's not already open. And then 2A, use the window view command from the Excel menu in Excel 5, or use the view manager command from the Excel menu in Excel 7. Now all these different versions of Excel have different way of viewing various things. If I go here, view custom views, for example, save a set of display and print settings as a custom view. Once you have saved the current view, you can apply it to the document by selecting it from the list of available custom views. Okay, so in Excel 2010, we have view custom views here, whereas in Excel 7, we have view manager, and in Excel 5, we have Windows view command. So on, different ways of viewing, same thing. Click on the required view or ticket from the list of views. Note W at the end means that the word warning will be printed on the ticket. Either click on Show button to display the selected view or ticket, or click on Close button to cancel the view command. Number 4, wait till the required view is displayed on the screen. Number 5, to print the displayed ticket, use the File Print command from the Excel menu. Click on OK button to start printing. All print settings have already been defined by AZMAT System. Note that the initial print settings may not require any change in most cases. To view and or print other tickets in the same file, repeat steps 2 to 5. That is from the Windows view or view manager, or later on, as we have in Excel 2010, view custom views, and so on. So that was the prepare IR's purchase tickets. We also have in here, I'm just going to go through this prepare IRS sale tickets command, very similar, the explanation. Let's just go back here. I'm not going to go through this for now. I'm going to go through the sales, because the S, file beginning with S, it's a sale, Z menu, S, prepare IRS sale tickets. The interest rate swap, IRS, interest rate prepare IRS sale tickets. So when you use that command, this file, beginning with S, then the transaction deal number, dot the ID of the current user. That's the name of the interest rate swap IRS sale tickets file. So this command is only available when asset swap model is being used. Note that the command will only work where AZMAT System has already allocated a transaction or deal number, which is used here. Need that because that's what AZMAT System uses to give the file name. The asset swap sale tickets file is produced, which contains the following tickets. A. Bond sale ticket, 2 plain tickets and 1 with the word warning. Interest rate swap tickets, cash flow tickets 1, cash flow ticket 2, similar to exactly the same as for the purchase tickets. So this command prepares the sale tickets and saves the file. The SS swap sale tickets file is of the form S for sugar, or S for sale, then 7-digit number, which is the transaction or deal number, S, then that's the transaction or deal number, it takes that, .id, ID of the current user. In this case, it's .AA because that's my initials, that's what I'm using. I've chosen to use those initials as my ID. S represents sale, P represents purchase. All 7 N's represent the 7-digit transaction deal number generated by the AZMAT system. ID represents 2-character ID of the user who had originally produced the tickets file. Note, tickets files are saved on the hard disk in C:\\AZMAT directory or folder. That's the user directory. Now, to print or view one or more of the above tickets, almost exactly the same things you have to do as we went through for the purchase tickets. We won't go through it again now. That should be, that is, if you like. Same thing goes here. Print all 9 tickets, for example, same as for the purchase tickets or sale tickets. To print all 9 tickets in Excel 5 only, what you have to do is file should be open if it's not already open. Use the file print report command from the Excel menu. All sale tickets report should already be selected. Either click on print button to print the tickets. All 9 tickets described above will be printed one after another. Time taken to print 9 pages varies, but the user should be prepared to allow between 3 and 5 minutes. Or click on close button to cancel the print report command. When finished with the file, use file close command from the Excel menu. This is for when you're printing the all 9 tickets, remember, either for the purchase or the sales. We will go through on the highlights of SS swap model now. Now, if I go through here, Z menu, as you can see, we have done up to there. The last command is calculate the bond yield. I won't go through that now because well, we have been very briefly, so very, very simple. I'll go through it again. I've been through another tutorial, but it's very, very brief one. So when you use calculate bond yield, calculates the bond yield. This command is only available when SS swap model is being used. It calculates the yield on the bond based on the bond details which have been entered by the user. Note that it is an IRR calculation. If you remember, IRR stands for internal rate of return. As you can see here in the AZMAT data file, we have here when the yield yield, percent yield, which is yield. IRR is when PV is equal to 0. When the PV, present value, is equal to 0, the yield is called IRR, internal rate of return. Sorry, I was going to say interest rate swap, it's not. Internal rate of return, IRR, is when internal rate of return is the yield when present value PV is equal to 0, like here. So in here, when you want to use this command, calculate bond yield, this should be used or is available only when SSOP model is being used. So I'll use that here. I'm going to actually just put it down here more. Right, put it all here. I'm just going to use this command. Calculate bond yield. AZMAT system needs to carry out various checks and calculations on a daily basis before any live or manual rates file can be used. Either ZRUSD.XLSX, saying ZRUSD.XLSX because that's the USD currency of the bond, has not been edited today, or certain files have been deleted, though not by AZMAT system. Now, why have we got this message? You might wonder. When all the other commands were calculated without any problem. That is because today, now, in UK anyway at least, the date has changed. Remember when we started, the transaction deal was 5th of September. The time now has gone beyond midnight in UK. So when I started, I'll go into that command in that file there, we'll see. So just remember here it says this file has not been, either it has not been edited or certain files have been deleted, though not by AZMAT system. So it's giving me a message saying that it needs to carry out various checks and calculations on a daily basis before I can use any rates file. Click OK there. Please either edit rates file the ZRUSD. You're only asking me the ZRUSD that file because I've asked you to calculate the bond yield, and the bond yield currency is USD. If this currency was something, so another currency like JPY or GBP, it will ask me to calculate that file, to edit that file. So either edit that file, rates file, or use a different file name. AZMAT system cannot continue with the command, right? Because it hasn't been updated today. Just to show you, if I go back to the AZMAT data file, remember when I started this tutorial, I saved this file, AZMAT data file, using the utility menu, save AZMAT data file. And so it gave me entered the date and the time. Right now, the time is not 10:31 anymore. It's more like 12:22 p.m. Sorry, 12:22 a.m. now. So on the 6th of September, next day. So just to show you, I'm going to now use the same utility. So let's just show you. When I started this tutorial, the date was 5th of September, 10:31 p.m. If I save that file again, using the U menu, save as data file, so instead of time 10:31, it has become now 12:21 a.m. on 6th of September. Right, so because we've gone past midnight, the date has changed. So what the fact that we had calculated this file on 5th of September and we were using at 10:31 p.m. onwards, that was fine. But now the date has changed past as we've gone past midnight. So I have to carry out various checks and AZMAT system needs to carry out various checks and calculations before any rates file can be used in any calculations. So very quickly, what I'm going to do is this again. Now I have to go through, and this time 4, 5, 6. I'm going to actually open that file, and you'll see why. So add-ins to get to the use that K menu. And this time, I'm not just going to do the curve file cat. I'm going to open this curve file for file edit. You'll see what I mean. Don't want to do GBP. I want to do the US dollar for now. So I can just enter USD. Don't need to enter the full file name. AZMAT system will automatically enter ZR at the beginning, .XLSX at the end, because this is XL 2010. In older versions for Excel, up to Excel 2003, it would add .xls only. Right, so US dollar, I wanted to open it for file edit, I'm saying. So it was giving me the message, right? It's opening the file there. Wait, I have to wait, be patient and wait. Right, it's opened the file for a full edit session because that's what I said, file edit. Note I've selected the futures area, and I'm now going to use the K menu, update future dates. Just remember, just note these future, first future, 12th future, and so first future is September 2017, second is December 2017, and so on. Okay, I'm saying update future dates. That's my area, futures area. I don't need to reselect it because I've already correctly selected there. Okay. First future is September 2017. Second is December 2017, and so on. And the last one is 12th future here is June 2020. So just remember that if you can, or at least just the first, September 2017, June 2020. Ready? And it's exactly the same for now. In a later tutorial, you will see why I went through that so much. You will see that later. Okay, but for now, it's the same. Now I can just say, go back there and save the curve changes. Okay, just go ahead and save it. I'm doing that so that I can use this file, zrusd.xlsx rates file in calculations. Because now the date has become 6th of September 2017. Okay, right. So I go back, I'm going back to the asset swap model. There. Now this time, remember, we have just calculated the file. I'm actually going to do some, right, I'll leave this here. At this point, it's been physically done to where this file says the date, transaction deal date was that for that particular deal. I want to just do first, before I do any of the actual calculate bond yield, I'll do some, because it's US dollar, fine. I'm going to actually do the calculate net PLL and 1 basis point move first. Remember, that was 7787. Right. Ready is there and note commands in. So 7787, remember? Now it's become 7648. Although these basic points, all that is different, but for now we aren't going to. We just remember it was 7748. Now it's 7648. I don't know if 7748 was, or I can actually have a quick look at that. If I look at it in the database file, 7648 here. I'm going to have a quick look at that. 954882. 954882. No, I can't see that here. Right, I'm going to now save that particular one. This was 5th of September, and that was the transaction deal number. If I go back here now on the asset swap model, at the 9548827, go back here. Settlement date is that 8th of September. I'm going to actually change valuation date is 6th of September. Transaction deal date was that. Cross market price of bond is that. Let's just calculate now. Do the actual before we go into that. I don't want to go into that. I want to just do this one. Calculate the bond yield. This time now, see what happens. Bond yield in US dollar, 5.01433. Calculate net P&L in US dollar. So this command here, set menu, calculate the bond yield. You would use that only when the asset swap model is being used, first thing. So then it puts it actually in here. It calculates the yield on the bond based on the bond details which have been entered by the user. So using the bond details here, calculates the bond yield. Note that it is an IRR calculation. So internal rate of return. The yield basis is determined from the coupon basis. So it takes the coupon basis, and uses it as the yield basis, and the yield frequency from the coupon frequency. Coupon frequency is that, and also takes that as the yield frequency. Okay, and using that, calculates the bond yield. So this is an IRR calculation, internal rate of return. Okay, on the here, IRR when PV is equal to 0. Okay, so that's what the calculated bond yield is. I'm trying to, I wonder whether I should actually, I think I'm going to stop this particular tutorial now, because the other parts of asset swap model which I want to go through, they will take quite some time. So I want to go through with the, for example, the highlights of asset swap model and more about asset swap model. So in quite detail. So that will make this tutorial too long, perhaps. So we will stop this tutorial now, having covered having covered basically prepare customers' cash flows report, prepare bank's cash flows report, prepare IRS purchase tickets, prepare IRS sale tickets, and calculate bond yield. Right, before I actually stop, let's just go here. On here, I will also, just like that I had, just going to have a quick look at this one. We won't actually look at all those different tickets now. We won't actually look at all those different ones right now. Right, let's go back here to the SSOP model. And actually what I am going to do is copy these. Copy that. And on here, oh, mistake. Right, having done that, escape to cancel that command. And also, I'll go to the SSOP model, and I'm going to copy this. Copy. is format is special values. I'm going to just copy here. Heading is well, escape first, come out, cancel the command, and go back up. So I'm just going to copy, in fact, I'm just going to copy these dates, names, instead of having to enter again, just there. And I'm going to change the numbers, of course. Let's call it 9, perhaps this one. I don't know whether it actually exists right now. I'll just define them later on, just for my purpose. Now, if I, right, I'll try to, I'm just gonna, keep it here in view. And leave that there. And I'm going to say here, do that. Take off this one. So since I have not said which cash flow to use, remember in the earlier versions, other tutorials, we've been through quite long, several times. If there's nothing there, cash flows, AZMAT System will prompt me to show which cash flows I want to use. So I'm going to actually say keep here, for example, or wherever, it doesn't really matter. Say in here, and I'm going to use the, so I'm saying, right, use this race file that I use without XLS, X, and Control I, which is Control I is, remember, internal rate of return. Show you that X file, sorry, and not X file, X menu, and internal rate of return. I can use that, in which case it will enter the here, and but not in there. If I actually if I use the menu command, but if I use Control I, it will enter there and there. So let's escape to come out of that. I'm going to say Control I, and because I have not said which cash flow to use, nothing in here, cash flow date, CF date, cell, it will ask me where, prompt me to show. Okay, I'm going to say use Control I from the keyboard. Right. Please click on the first date cell or highlight all the cash flow area with the cursors. Right, this is what I wanted to use. I could just say that is enough. It will self do that, or I can say that. Click OK. Done that. I go back. There. 5188.67807. So it's for that cash flow there. It's calculated. Remember here, just want to just I can take out, use those cash flows. I'm going to take it out here. Here, so I said internal rate of return. So here I have present value PV is equal to 0. I had originally actually 0, but because if I said IRR, I want internal rate of return, it would have placed 0 there and then calculate parentheses. So it's there here. But these cash flows there on that. I'm actually going to say, just do one here as well. And this time I'm going to say, right, control, just below that, control I. Again, nothing in the cash flows. I. This time I'm going to say use that. Right, should have finished. Well, it has finished. And now, see if, say, 3.2887 E plus 32. So it's 10 to the power times 10 to the power 32. If you use here, depending, it's just to show you that if you use cash flows, which makes sense, whereas in here, this particular cash flow, these cash flows, to calculate the internal rate of return, as when the present value is 0, is gigantic, completely. You can't even imagine how big this number is. 3.2 times 10 to the power 32. We're not talking about millions or billions or trillions even. Enormous number. And the reason why we've got here hashes, because it can't fill up in this particular column. So in here, it's got it here as 10 to the power 32. But if you use, so some of these commands, when you start using in AZMAT system, you have to have some idea what the actual result is likely to be. So if you get something, if you use the cash flows which make no sense for that particular command, it will give you results like that. Completely, it could have been even minus 32, not just 32, any number, big number, huge number. So if you use cash flows like that, minus 1 million beginning, then plus you got that, and then all these negatives there. This internal rate of return that says the present value is 0, this is what the yield will be. In this case, when the present value is 0, if you're using cash flows like that, it's a meaningful amount, dates and amount, it will give you result. Where was the result? 5188. At least even this is huge number for that particular yield, but it at least can make can fill in the form, fill in the cell without going on like this number, which is so gigantic. Here we can see that it's down to e to the power 32. So same command, but now I'm actually this time going to put 1 here. I'm saying use the cash flow date 1, CF date 1, and I'll say here. So where is it? It was there. I'm actually going to use underneath that one. So whatever that is, doesn't matter. It's just going to asking it to, it'll override that. So don't have to ask it, it will override. So 1 here means cash flow date 1. Use that. $17, $18, $19, $20. I'm not sure. It is a good example to show you, but let's just see it here. I'm just going to put it there. Error. The first cash flow date for September 2017 is before the valuation is 6 September. Is this okay? Okay to proceed, or press cancel, cancel command. I'll cancel it, obviously, because for September this was whatever. I will actually simply change the date. to, let's make it the same here, like 8. So I'm just going to be, although it's not going to make much difference to that command. Instead of IRR, I'll calculate the both present value and yield for these cash flows. So I'm going to use 2 cells here. And in here, I'm just going to say Control B, which will be, means both present value and yield. Put them there and here. So present value is that minus 136,000, and the yield, wow, see that? Wow, look at that. Times 10 to 2.08 times 2 times 10 to the power 61 for these cash flows, if you calculate the yield. I just place it here, mouse. It's not there. Just place mouse there. Look at that number. How many trillions of trillions of trillions? Probably more than even number of stars, if you like. Okay, I'm not going to go through that. Just wanted to demonstrate to you, perhaps, that if you have the cash flows which do not make sense to for the particular commands, you will get results which may or may not make sense to you. Of course, if you were looking for those particular numbers, then it's fine. I'm not even going to save this here. I somehow I don't particularly want all these enormous numbers stored in this file or here. I'm going to take them off before I save this file. I want the reminder of those dates, those calculations here. Okay, that's it. Just so I'm not going to do anything anymore now. I will stop this tutorial now. So you can have fun using cash flows, whatever you like, and see. Well, let's just do one more thing here. I'm going to change this here to actually just change, because it has to be beyond for this particular one. I'm going to use this one here, cash flow date 2, right, Control B. So this one here is minus 2.7 times 10 to the 51. And that's the present value. That present value as a yield of this cash flow. See, so it's completely each time, whatever the cash flows are, depending on the cash flows, you have different yields. For this one as well, we're getting some similar numbers like that, although here I have 0, here I have minus 49,000. So I'm going to take this off as well. Don't want to have anything here. And now, maybe I'll take off this as well, because whatever it is, I want to use different examples when I actually am using this those commands later on in a different tutorial. So right now I'm going to just use the user U menu, save the AZMAT data file. I put 6 September 12:51. So it's about 2.5 hours, perhaps, since we had this tutorial and it began. Well, let's stop it now. All these files, remember, before I save them, before I close them, I could actually save them in different files. Maybe actually what I will do, just before we stop it, I'm going to close these files. That file, as with that name, has already been saved with the sale tickets, purchase tickets, and so on. These I have to change the names. The original was only up to there.a. Remember, I changed the bank's cash flows, customers' cash flows point of view. So I'm now going to stop right now this particular tutorial. Okay, let's just stop now for today. Stop it now.